Diamond bits are the most common for dry or electric file manicure. How long do they last and how would you know when it's dull? In this video, I will share everything you need to know about diamond drill bits. Coming up. Hello, I'm Anastasia. Many companies are offering diamond drill bits, but are they all the same? Definitely not. First thing that you need to look at is abrasive, which should appear as a band on a bit. Black is extra coarse, green is coarse. These are usually not used for dry manicure since those are way too harsh. Blue is medium coarse and can be used for men's manicure and hyperkeratosis skin type. The most common abrasive for dry manicure is red, which is medium or medium fine. By the way, some bits do not have any band at all. Some suppliers use it for blue bands, which is usually too coarse for most skin types, or sometimes they just do not mark their bits at all. There's also a yellow band, which is fine and will work for thin and sensitive skin. What else do we need to look for? When working with a bit, it should be clean and disinfected. You can see a new bit on the right, and on the left this bit is dull now. I also didn't clean it yet, so you can see that it is clogged with some skin and debris. On a new or clean bit, you can see the diamond particles on the entire surface. Once the bit is dull, there are gaps between them and the abrasive part doesn't shine as much. When the bit is dull, it won't do any good. It will just polish the skin, heating it up with the friction and not really cleaning anything. One diamond bit is usually good for 10 to 15 services if you take care of it, disinfect after each client. Then you need to replace it. Or you can also keep it and use for filing off gel polish that accidentally flooded the sidewalls, for example. If you see that the bit is crooked, it can be easily seen when it is rotating at a low speed. Dispose it right away. Do not use it, as it may ruin your electric nail file. Now let's do some practice. I will show you how to clean the cuticles on myself. And when you're just learning how to do cuticle care, how to do dry manicure, I strongly recommend you to practice on yourself first, because you will feel everything and you will know when it hurts, when it's too deep, and when you can cut yourself. So first we are going to push back the cuticles. The speed now is around 15,000 rotations per minute, but the speed also depends on the power of your electric nail drill. For powerful ones, you may work at a low speed, while some home-use electric nail files usually are just not strong enough, so you need to work all the way up to 20,000 rotations per minute. The most important part when pushing back the cuticles is that you are not supposed to touch the nail plate, only the skin. Now I'm switching to the next nail. I'm working at the forward mode, which means the bit is rotating clockwise and pushing up the cuticles. Then I switch to the opposite side. Now it's rotating counterclockwise and push back the cuticles on the other side. When you're working on yourself, it may be a bit uncomfortable to hold the sidewalls as you have just two hands, but I still strongly believe that this is one of the best ways to learn how to work with the e-file. Remember, the most important thing is that it is never supposed to hurt or burn. Like manicure service overall should not be painful at any point. If it is, you're definitely doing something wrong, whether pressing too hard, pushing too much, using wrong abrasive, or using wrong speed. And by the way, the most common mistake is working at a super low speed, because when it's low, the friction force is much higher, which means the surface is heating up, causing heat spikes. After we push up the cuticles, we can trim it with the sphere bit. This one is with red band, so it is soft, but as you can see, I do not really have that much cuticles, so that's enough. But for longer cuticles, for more skin, it is better to use the similar one, but with the blue abrasive mark. Now let's do the same but on the client.
So this client, she has a very thin and sensitive skin, which means we need to be extra careful. Sometimes flame beads are very sharp, have a very sharp point, and some of them do not. So if you have the one that's super sharp, what I recommend to do is simply take 180 or even 150 grit file and just slightly round this edge so it will not be as sharp. That way you will not cut the client. When you're working on someone else, it's much easier to push back the sidewall so you can see everything and do not touch them. Even though I'm using the dust collector, it is still not collecting that much dust that I wish it would. So I'm using also the regular brush to clean the dust from time to time so I can see what's happening. Even though dry manicure or electric file manicure is a very popular and effective technique nowadays, it's also a very advanced technique, so I strongly recommend you to learn how to work with the e-file, let's say taking off old products or doing infill first, before you will learn how to work with the cuticles, because you're probably aware that this area is so sensitive and it is quite easy to damage and overfile it. So it is better to feel confident with the nail drill first before you go to this technique. And another important part, besides having a good quality nail drill, is diamond beads themselves. Unfortunately, I've seen so many diamond beads that are not good. If you will take a closer look, you will simply see that these diamond particles, they're not even. So what they're doing, they're scratching the surface instead of cleaning it. So I recommend you to avoid those. I've seen so many on AliExpress and they do not usually have a band. They come in a big kits and I do not recommend using them. By the way, flame bead is good not only for pushing up the cuticles and cleaning them, you can also use it to clean the sidewalls. So what I usually do, I just push it up and then you have options. You can trim it with a sphere bead like I showed you a few minutes ago, or you can also use nippers, scissors or tweezers to trim the cuticles. This is the final look of a dry electric file manicure.
This was my overview of flame diamond beads. I will leave the link to a Russian supplier where I usually get them. They do not have translated website yet, but they ship worldwide. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you are first time here, consider subscribing, as I post new educational videos just like this one every week. See you in my next one. Goodbye!